Our next presentation bears the title, Needless Needles, Why Vaccine Mandates Are Unethical. Please welcome Bradley Serumal.
As society has become more advanced, we became more concerned with the health of our friends and loved ones. We kept people safe from disease by keeping other people sanitized. Actions like washing your hands, cleaning valuables, and putting gloves on before preparing food were things that made everyone safe from disease. Once we found out that we can enhance our immune systems for specific diseases, vaccines were created. Now, in modern day, sanitation has become so advanced that not even an ancient king with the most riches ever recorded has ever come close to the comfort and sanitation that modern working class individuals have. This is a good thing, but like all good things, it can become corrupted when taken to the excess. Mandatory vaccination is the excess of maintaining sanitation within a society because it sacrifices one's human rights for sanitation. Vaccines are injections, pills, or liquids that a person takes to help their immune system identify pathogens so that other people's immune systems can fight them off. Vaccines are beneficial and help public health, but in cases where a disease is contagious or dangerous enough, the local government is able to mandate that vaccine for the population. The governor of that population has the duty to make the mandate. Although it can be beneficial for the local government to have control over our bodies under certain circumstances, it is still unethical for the local government to force vaccination onto American citizens because it is our right not to consent to medical mandates. A society where people are not forced to take anything is a wise society. It's because when you give someone the freedom to say no to a substance, the person giving the substance will be more inclined to tell them why they should. If vaccine mandates didn't exist, public health officials would have to go into detail about why you should take the vaccine, the dangers that go into not taking a vaccine, and what type of vaccine to get. It makes the people in charge actually work to convince the public. Pressure should always be on the institutions because they are the ones responsible for making cures. God has placed pressure on the government to protect the public. The government has a God-given duty to punish evil and reward good, as it says in Romans 13. The people under the government have an obligation to submit to the government. Does that mean that refusing a vaccine is evil? Refusing a vaccine is not evil, as there is no malicious intent behind the act. Sin is malicious intent towards your neighbor or God, and refusal of vaccination is neither. A path a pathogen takes is outside of a man's control, and refusing vaccination does not mean that one is intentionally trying to get someone sick. With the societal stress to take a vaccine, there also comes problems due to the stress put on the people. Making a vaccine non-mandatory would solve many of the social problems that come due to the pressure of mandates like unemployment and social polarity, while still keeping people safe. A big problem that comes from vaccine mandates is the distrust of the people. As when one is forced to take something, they will be more skeptical because they want to know why force is essential. In order to preserve democracy within our government, people have to be willing to trust in the government. If people cannot trust in the authorities, then how can they be considered safe? Therefore, it is more beneficial to make vaccines non-mandatory so that more people would have trust in the government. Some people say that vaccine mandates are necessary in order to attain herd immunity to further protect vulnerable communities from diseases that can potentially be harmful to them. Herd immunity is when a population becomes immune to a disease, in which case the spread becomes far more unlikely. Instead, I argue that a better alternative to mandates is to persuade the public to take a vaccine rather than force. Force a man to take a substance and he will refuse it, but persuade him that that substance can be beneficial for him and he will likely take it. If you put a gun to a person's head, give them a pill, and tell them to take that pill, or else you pull the trigger, they will immediately take the pill, not because they are concerned about the pill, but they are concerned about the consequences. The goal of herd immunity is to give everyone a lower chance of contracting or giving someone else a disease. I agree that herd immunity is beneficial, but it can still be attained through no mandates. A disease can be not fatal to young people, but fatal to the elderly, like, for example, COVID. There are exceptions, like rabies, which is an extremely deadly disease, or with a very low contagiousness. With COVID, the people who are young and are already safe from the disease would not be harmed by it, but the elderly, however, would have to take a vaccine in order to immunize themselves against the disease. A mandate was not necessary. Because the young people were already relatively safe from the disease, while the elderly knew that they were vulnerable. In order for the elderly to know that they are vulnerable, they must be persuaded. If there was a super disease that had a high contagiousness and mortality rate, most people would take the vaccine for it, leading to herd immunity. If we keep letting higher powers take away our rights for their own self-interest, then what stops them doing that in the future to our children? If we stay complacent and do not call out when the government violates our rights, then they will be comfortable doing it again. God calls us to be courageous, and if we do not stand up to tyranny, we are being cowardly and therefore going against what God calls us to do. Throughout history, men have fought for liberty, like MLK Jr. and Abraham Lincoln, who were willing to risk their lives and who unfortunately died for the free future that we have today. We cannot let anyone or anything stop on the free future that the great men before us have died to set up for us. Thank you.